Good afternoon. Let's call the Board of Adjustment to order. First order of business is to approve the agenda and the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
I will move to approve the agenda and minutes as written.
Can I ask a question of staff before I
Sure.
second? So this, lift, whatever their name was, Vertical Bridge withdrew at the county commissioners meeting then?
We did.
Okay. So basically whatever was approved in the original conditional use permit and the variance request stands.
What was that?
Everything that was previously approved by the planning commission.
The original. Yeah,
The
the original
original.
conditional use permit
Okay,
stands.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll second the motion to approve.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting minutes are approved. Moving on to new business. Staff, would you please address the first?
Thank you, Mr.
Item.
Chair. The first item of business is a variance request submitted by Ari Fuad. It's a variance request for relief from the Cook County Zoning Ordinance, Section 7.05, to allow the replacement of the existing shed with modifications, including a shed roof and deck, and to be no closer than 66 feet from the ordinary high water level of Cascade Lake, a natural environment lake, where a minimum of 150 feet setback applies at 1833 the grade. The applicant's property includes 62.21 acres with approximately 2,886 feet of Cascade Lake shoreline. The parcel is zoned Lakeshore Residential within the first 300 feet of Cascade Lake and FAR 2 further inland. Newly created lots within the LSR zone district and on a natural environment lake must be 2 acres in size and 200 feet wide of the structural setback. And as previously mentioned, Cascade Lake is classified as a natural environment lake. The applicant, Ari Fuad, is requesting relief from the shoreline setback requirements of Cascade Lake to replace and expand the shed on the property at 1833 the grade. The structure requests to encroach further into the lake setback with the addition of the deck. We included a citation to section 7.05, which outlines the structure setback requirements on the natural environment lake. For background, the property currently has a cabin and outhouse and is the only private property on Cascade Lake. Historically, this area has served as a hub for logging in the 1920s and 1930s. The house was granted a variance from the Cook County Board of Adjustment on December 14th, 2022 to allow a tear-down rebuild of the primary dwelling with an expansion and increased length, width, and height. The board approved the variance request with the following conditions. Put a picture of, there we go. There we go. The property shall conform to Minnesota Rule 7080 and the Cook County Septic Ordinance requirements. The vegetation planting plan shall be submitted demonstrating a 20-foot wide vegetative buffer with native plants and shrubs. The 20-foot vegetative buffer shall be maintained and established by the current and future property owners to filter runoff and mitigate impacts of the development. A gutter or catchment system for water retention shall be included on all new and proposed structures to divert precipitation and snowmelt away from Cascade Lake. The structure shall not exceed 33 feet in height, and no component of the proposed construction may be closer than 45 feet from the ordinary high water level of Cascade Lake. As you can see in the photo, the structure was getting built last year, and then next to the structure is a shed. And then these are the photos that are in your packet on page 3 of the staff report. And then, because I didn't organize my slides very well, we're going to go back real quick. Just for project details, so here's that shed roof, and then essentially the front of this replacement shed would be at the same setback as the lake. It's just adding the deck, and the deck would be what's encroaching further into the lake setback. And then there's kind of the artistic rendering of the new shed matching the style of the existing home. Caught up to myself now. And there's the aerial photo that shows the house being removed last year before the new construction began, and you can see the shed on there. For site conditions and consideration, a new septic system has been installed to serve the dwelling, which I should correct myself, I believe the outhouse has probably been removed. Yeah,
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Right.
Impervious surface coverage, there's no issues with impervious surface coverage, it's a very large lot size. The practical difficulty was identified with the 2022 house. Variance was mostly wetlands. There's a lot of wetlands in this location. It's a very flat lot, very high up in the watershed there. So this is kind of the applicant's rendering of the site conditions. This is not the whole 62 acres, this is just the up-close area of where the development is on the lot. So there's kind of wetlands behind the house, and that was a part of the board's review in the first variance for the house to allow that tear-down rebuild. All right. For public noticing, the application was legally noticed in the Cook County News Herald on February 20th. 24 notification were sent to adjacent property owners as well as county departments and the DNR hydrologist. Written comments were received from adjoining property owners, Linda and David Griggs, who supported the variance request. I've included draft facts and findings for the request. Just a quick note on that 66-foot setback from Cascade Lake. That's the number the applicant and I arrived at using desktop information based off of aerial photography. We wanted to build in a comfort level. I don't believe it's going to be as close as 66 feet. However, with snow cover and the vegetation on Cascade Lake, which is super shrubby, it just is very difficult this time of year to get exact measurements, and we did not want a circumstance where a land use specialist gets out after a variance approval and finds that that distance isn't available. So that's how we arrived at that number in coordination with one another in the processing of the application. So that's the number that's cited in the facts and findings under number 1, 66-foot relief from Cascade Lake. I've included additional findings that I hope you've had a chance to review. I'm going to save us the effort of going through each of those. I do think it's notable to note that wetlands are one of the primary reasons for the variance request that was approved for the house, and I think that's still a consistent landscape characteristic that would apply to this request as well. And this is the only privately owned property with Cascade Lake water frontage, which is a unique aspect of it. For staff recommendation and consideration, due to winter conditions, land services staff were unable to verify the setback distance on the field during processing of the variance application. In addition, on-site review of vegetation type is required to determine the appropriate starting point for the shoreline measurement. The proposal has instead been evaluated using available desktop data. To address these limitations, staff have recommended the approved setback distance be verified on site prior to the start of construction of the new shed. A safety factor has been added to the requested setback relief to provide flexibility for staff during on-site review. There's 3 potential conditions of approval. Number 1, prior to construction, land services staff shall verify the proposed shed location meets the approved 66-foot setback from the ordinary high water level or shoreline where terrestrial vegetation begins. Number 2, the structure is approved solely as an accessory storage building. Any intensification of use, including but not limited to the use as a bunkhouse or a guest cabin, shall require an amendment to this variance approval. No sleeping quarters shall be permitted within the structure. And number 3, the land use permit shall authorize the structure dimensions and use proposed in the variance application approved by the Board of Adjustment on March 11, 2026. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
The applicants are present.
Yes.
Is there some things you would like to add?
No, I think the Neva's description is fairly complete. It's been a journey, 3 years since we got our first variance, and we just spent our first night in the new cabin this past Sunday, so it felt good, and it's a special place out there, and I think I always knew I wanted to tackle a shed replacement because it's sagging roof and it's vintage 1920 and not really salvageable too much in its current state. So, but I couldn't contemplate it in the first go around if the house was enough to handle. So now we're sort of doing this one more upgrade and neat place to store all our kayaks and canoes and yard furniture, stuff like that, closer to the house. That's what we're looking for.
Okay. All right, anything else? No?
I don't think so.
Thank you. Any public comment on this that we need to consider? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and board.
I have seen the site. I occasionally fish Cascade Lake, so I've seen the site from the lake. Basically, we're just replacing it in place, correct? With a little bit of extra space for front deck.
Right. The front of the shed will be at the same location as the current shed. It's just the addition of the deck that would go closer to the lake.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the replacement doesn't really impact the existing shoreline conditions, so that seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it's site improvement too with a
Yeah.
newer building that's similar in style to the cabin. Paul?
Yeah, I would concur with both of those things, and the fact that a lot of the legwork was done establishing the variance for the house or for the cabin, I think, helps
Right.
us out on this one. It's pretty simple,
Right.
straightforward. And I'm comfortable with the findings of fact.
And ask both, so having dealt with, and I'm glad you used aerial photography, by the way, on your 66-foot calculation, because the plotting this far up on the planet when you start using GIS systems can get a little wonky. So that's the only concern I had was the 66 feet, but you informing me that both you agreed that together that's, you're real comfortable with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I did measure before the snow flew back in December or something.
Okay.
And I think it's currently, I'm probably closer to 80 feet, depending on where you go to.
I made
So-
him cut it down a lot because
Just to be,
really
to play it
safe.
safe.
Just to not
I'd
come
say.
back.
Okay.
we
Yeah.
have no intention of moving any closer.
No,
You
that
know?
wasn't my thought. My thought
Yeah,
was more
yeah.
along the lines if it's more of the restriction we put on the land use office, where we say 66 feet, and you're not measuring at 64 feet, and then all kinds of things start moving with, you're leaving the footprint and going back 2 more feet, or we're coming back to the
Right.
board, or,
Right.
and it just, it's one that I saw would be a bit of a, you're constrained already with the wetlands, the shoreline, the lake, the offsets there, so forth that are there. You didn't want to set up conditions that cause a bunch of consternation, but, you've measured it, staff's measured it. I'm not here to second guess what you've done out there in the field or what your personal experience is, so I just wanted to make sure that we're comfortable with that one.
To the best of our ability during winter time, and again, it's not a shoreline that's a very clean shoreline measurement with kind of like that alder type swampy sideline, so
And
I
I
think this will give us a lot of room to work with.
I personally was not going to do a site visit because I had to drive out there Monday and pick up my neighbor who went into the ditch, and the road is pretty ice covered, so it's like, any further discussion, board? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve with the findings of fact as written and conditions as written as well.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? We'll go with that. Thank you, folks.
You?
Thank you. Quicker than 3 years on the shed, how about that? All right. Our next applicants, Mr. Chair, were planning on joining us in person, but they had a family emergency that required them to turn around on the road. And I told them I would try to give them a call from our speaker line here. So if you give me a
Okay.
second, I'll try to get them patched in. Thank you. Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Bob and Judy. This is Neva Maxwell. I'm calling you from our Board of Adjustment meeting. Can you hear me okay?
Just fine, yeah.
Great. So we're just about to begin your public hearing. You'll hear the chair open up your meeting, and I will read through the staff report. And then there'll be your opportunity to add to that. And then I'll probably turn you quiet in between so we don't get the noise from your car. Does that sound
Sure.
good?
Yep.
All right, thank you. All right.
All right. Go ahead, and we can start with the next package for Robert and Judith. And the request for variance on the road, County Road 14. Thank you.
Thank you,
Staff?
Mr. Chair. This is a variance request submitted by Robert and Judith Jones. The request is for relief from sections 4.07C4 and 7.05 to allow an accessory structure, a 32 by 32 garage, to be placed 66 feet from the center line of County Road 14, where a minimum of 85 feet is required, and 53 feet from a tributary river segment where a setback of 100 feet is required at 234 County Road 14. The applicants, forgot my multitasking. There we go. Sorry, guys. The applicant's property includes 35.46 acres with approximately 800 feet of river shoreline. The parcel is contained entirely within the FAR 3 zone district. Newly created lots within the FAR 3 zone must be 5 acres in size and 200 feet wide at the structure setback. The river is a designated public waters and classified as a tributary river segment. Robert and Judith Jones are requesting variance relief from the county road and river setback to allow for the placement of a garage. The existing development on the 35-acre parcel is located on the southwest corner of the lot, with the river located to the east and north of the house. In your packets, you've got the ordinance citation from the county road setbacks for the FAR 3 zone district, as well as a tributary river segment. On the screen is the aerial photo of the 35-acre parcel. You can see that the house is in the clearing of the woods right between the road and the river segment. For background, the property currently has a house, garage, shed, and septic system. In Figure 1, shown on the screen, the development is located between the road and river in the southwest corner. A review of the public waters inventory map explains that when the house and garage were permitted in 1992 and 1999 respectively, the public waters were not shown on the east side of County Road 14. Hopefully that will make sense there. And then when the PWI public waters inventory maps were updated in 2011, then they did show that the public water course was crossing onto the east side of County Road 14 in this location. So what's on the screen right now are the maps that are on page 4 of the staff report. The black and white grainy footage is the original public waters inventory map, and I tried to do a little red arrow. Essentially, there's a little nudge in the river there that's slightly consistent between all 3 versions of these maps. And that was located on the west side of County Road 14 when the landowners would have done the 1990s land use permits. So the zoning office would have not seen a public water course on the east side of County Road 14. Then in 2011, when the public waters inventory maps were updated, then the public water course does cross County Road 14, and all of a sudden is that. And to the benefit of the landowners, the landowner in the 1990s did acknowledge that there was a creek, and I included a part of that in your staff reports. That's what Figure 2 is the drawing from the 1990s permits where the landowner did identify the creek in there. So everyone trying to do their best, but just maps get better with time. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that. Hopefully that storyline makes sense. Here's a photo of the assessor's photos of the current house and garage on the property. And for site conditions and considerations, the property is served by a septic system. Impervious surface coverage requirements are met. Wetlands are not the primary issue driving the need for the variance. And the stream is a creek, is a tributary to Kimball Creek, and was incorrectly depicted in the original county public waters inventory maps from the DNR. For public noticing, the application was legally noticed in the Cook County News Herald on February 20th, 2026. 14 letters of notification were sent to adjacent property owners as well as county departments and the DNR hydrologist. No written comments were received from adjoining property owners during the written comment period. For staff considerations for facts and findings, I'll go through these. So the variance being consistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan and in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance and other county official controls. The county zoning ordinance requires a 100-foot setback from tributary river segment. The applicant is proposing a 53-foot setback from the public water course. The public water course was not accurately identified in the original public waters inventory map for Cook County. The county zoning ordinance requires an 85-foot setback for structures from the county road and FAR 3 zone district. The applicant's requesting a 66-foot setback. The county highway department has not indicated any issues with this request. I've also included several residential goals and administrative goals and environmental goals outlined in our guide plan. The next question, the proposed use of the property is allowed in the land use district in which the property is located. The property is zoned FAR 3 and is conforming with over 35 acres of land. Residential uses are permitted in the zone district. The property owner is proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner not permitted by the Cook County Zoning Ordinance. The property owner does propose to use the property in a reasonable manner, given the setback relief is requesting to balance the setback requirements of the road from the west and the creek to the east. The addition of the garage is a reasonable request. The property owner has established that the practical difficulty involved is due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. The practical difficulty is the error with the DNR's original public waters inventory, which did not accurately depict this creek as a public water course on the east side of County Road 14. Although the previous property owner did identify the creek on their permits, the creek was identified on the east side of County Road 14 in the updated 2011 public waters inventory maps. Approving the variance maintain the essential character of the locality. The addition of the garage will not alter the essential character of the locality and is balancing setback relief needed by both the road and the creek to balance the needs of the public safety and shoreline stewardship. And the property owner has established that the practical difficulty involves more than economic considerations alone. Economic considerations are not found to be the reason for the variance request. Staff recommendation for consideration. Due to winter conditions, land services staff were unable to verify the setback distances in the field during the processing of this variance application. In addition, on-site review of vegetation type is required to determine the appropriate starting point for the shoreline measurement. The proposal has instead been evaluated using available desktop data and communication with the property owner. To address these limitations, staff recommend that the approved setback distance be verified on-site prior to the start of construction of the new garage. If approved, the following conditions may be attached to the variance request. Number 1, prior to construction, land services staff shall verify the proposed garage location meets the approved 66-foot setback from center line of County Road 14 and 53-foot setback from the ordinary high water level or the shoreline where terrestrial vegetation begins. The structure is approved solely as an accessory storage building. Any intensification of use, including but not limited to use as a bunkhouse or guest cabin, shall require an amendment to this variance approval. No sleeping quarters shall be permitted within the structure. Number 3, the land use permit shall authorize a structure of the dimensions and use proposed in the variance application and approved by the Board of Adjustment on March 11th, 2026. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So they're on the phone, so.
Yep, Mr. and
Hear
Mrs.
from the
Jones are
applicant?
on the phone. Do you want me to speak to them?
Can they hear me from here?
Can you hear the chair, Mr. and Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Please.
So we've heard from staff in the variance request. Is there anything you'd like to add as the applicants?
We're not hearing very well.
We're not hearing that very well.
Okay, the chair is wondering if there's anything you would like to add as the applicants.
I think you covered it real well.
All right, thank you very much. I'll let you know if you're called on again with any questions.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll try to speak up for you too.
Sure.
Thank you.
Now we're open to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to make comment? No? All right, seeing none, I will close for public comment and discuss amongst the board. Anybody get a chance to go take a look?
I still have mud on my vehicle from it. I got out there before the snowstorm, so, looking at the site, I don't have any issues with the setback from the county road. I mean, the sight lines on that section of 14 are pretty good. It's pretty straight. It is a kind of a strange property with all the watershed divides there with these fingers that stick out, so they're kind of limited as to where they go as far as I could see. I didn't have any real big issues with it. I mean, between the garage site and the water course, it's pretty heavily wooded. And it's not a huge structure, so I don't know if we're gonna have
Pretty
runoff
standard sized
issues
garage.
related to that.
Okay, so you were comfortable with the vegetation between that and the stream?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get out and walk down the slope or
No,
anything, but yeah.
your
I mean, it's-
observations count.
Yeah, it's pretty heavily wooded and pretty untouched, really.
Right.
Yeah, no concerns. I think it's always easy when the practical difficulty is a mapping error. That makes it a little easier to take the pressure off the owner.
Right. Yep. Okay, do I have a motion?
I would move to approve with staff recommendations and conditions set forth.
That's it. You have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Your
Variance
variance has been
approved.
approved with the conditions and findings listed in the staff report, and I'll reach out to you guys within the next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Have a nice day. Safe travels.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
So Diane, how do we turn these off?
Just hold the button and it should shut off.